Mockingjay Part 2. This film affected me emotionally more than I thought it would. Not in the sense of the actual content of the film, because, you know, I knew that was going to hit me emotionally anyway, but just the actual film itself and the franchise ending. I wasn't expecting to be so sad about it, and yet when the final credits started rolling, it did actually kind of hit me quite emotionally as like another fandom that I've kind of outlived. Even though I didn't feel like I was that big a part of the Hunger Games fandom. Like, I really enjoyed the books and I read them all really, really quickly. And I have seen all the films and I have enjoyed all the films, but it was never one for me, like kind of like Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings, something. It never had a real nostalgic attachment. And yet it obviously did, because it really did make me feel quite emotional. So I realised that that means this review might be slightly affected by that nostalgic tint, which is why I'm mentioning it, because I don't want people to be aware that I obviously have a nostalgic attachment I was not originally aware of to this film and franchise in general. But to get started, I do think, in terms of acting, Jennifer Lawrence stole this film. That woman is phenomenal. You can understand why she has got the Oscars she's got and things, because the acting quality of Katniss in this film was superb. It almost felt surreal watching a teen franchise with such a good lead actress. It was kind of somewhat unsettling. Normally teen franchises, like, they're good actors and actresses, but they're not Oscar worthy. She kind of brought it to a whole new level, and I feel like created a whole new level of emotion for some of these, for the moments in the film that made some of it even more heartbreaking than it normally would be for me, and most of it's quite heartbreaking. I remember when I read the book I was crying for quite some time, but I really cried. Sorry. I really cried when watching this, so, and I think she was a huge part to do with it. So, thought I'd mention that. However, the film itself, I think, was really well made. I liked the consistency of the story, the splitting of the book into the two films. Even though I don't normally like that kind of thing, I feel like it worked for this half, because it did feel like a very separate film to the last one, like a good continuation, but it did feel like they'd split a book. It was like, it felt like they were meant to be two separate films, so I liked that about it. Really liked this film. I thought the effects were fantastic. Acting quality in general was really good. Josh Hutcherson was also phenomenal as Peter. I feel like he should probably have a little shout. I think he was very, very good. I will say I hated the love triangle references within this film, because I don't think it was needed, because everybody at this point has got no interest, in my opinion, in Gao and Katniss. Or if you have, it's very much a shipping thing, not a canon thing. They're very separate. I don't feel like it was needed. It kind of just, it felt forced. Sorry, I don't know what's going on outside of my window. It felt forced and uncomfortable, and just, it kind of just hindered the story instead of helped it. But I really, really enjoyed the film, actually. I was quite surprised. I loved the structure. I thought the pace was just right. The really good sort of development and flow, I think, of both characters and plot. It wasn't as surprising for me, but I remember the book really vividly, especially the end of the third book, so I wasn't expecting it to be. Sorry again, but I feel like if you haven't read the books, it will be quite surprising, quite a lot of the things that happen in this film, I think. But yeah, to give you a quick summary, so you've kind of, at the end of the last film, you've just kind of they found Peter, and he's gone a bit crazy because he's been kind of brainwashed by the Capitol with Jack of Venom. I think I'm saying the right thing. And now we're kind of going forward, and they're trying to deal with that situation, deal with the fighting of the Capitol, the uniting of the districts, so they can overthrow the Capitol finally. Katniss wants to be more involved within this fight and less of a propaganda person. You've got kind of all this going on. Then they finally get into the Capitol as a little group, and she kind of decides to veer off on her own little task. She has this idea of what she wants to do as opposed to what they want her to do, kind of situation. I'm not going to say any more because I don't want to give away too many spoilers, but it really is quite a moving film. Really lovely ending, some really poignant moments. I feel like some of it meant more than it would because of the timing of the film and the recent world events that have occurred around this sort of time. So I feel like there were moments in the film that were far more poignant now than they would have been earlier, personally, for me, because certain events are still so fresh in my mind. But I really do feel like this is quite a poignant film, quite a poignant franchise, to be honest. I think it only hit me after the films had ended how significant this set of films and books are. Really, I do think they're very good for teen fiction. Sort of my favourite young adult dystopian thing. Minus, well, I did just say minus Maze Runner, but now I'm not so sure. I feel like it's better than Maze Runner, because Maze Runner's kind of, I don't know what's really happened to that. So yeah, I kind of would say it's my favourite young adult dystopian fiction thing going at the moment. It is, I do think they concluded it really nicely. It was really, really enjoyable. I can't really fault the film. I think I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. I did really, really enjoy this film. I can't really think of many things bad to say about it. I'm knocking a point off because of the love triangle. One thing I really know about with the love triangle is because it's such a poignant film that carries by itself, it wasn't needed as a device. They're never needed as plot devices because it's just lazy, because there is no point in real life where love triangles actually exist. There is no point when one person is like, oh, I have these two people, but I can't choose between them. So it doesn't happen. Like, I don't know anybody that's ever been in a love triangle situation. And such an openly cool one. People are either all together, and that's fine. That's great. Go with it. Or kind of people tend to be in separate relationships. Otherwise, it's just cheating. So it's not a love triangle, it's just an unmessy way of trying to make one of the protagonists still look good while she's basically cheating on 2 other people. I don't like it. I feel like it's very out of character, very sloppy, and very poorly played. So I've knocked a point off for that. But otherwise, I do think this is a really good film. I do highly recommend it, and I do think it's a lovely sort of sum up to the Hunger Games franchise. So yeah, that's what I thought of the Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2. If anybody has any opinions on it, please let me know below. And yeah, I kind of can't believe it's another fandom over. It's making me feel very old. Okay, see you again soon.